And now, as part of my board president's remarks, I'd like to bring up our New Jersey School Board Association representative, Jean Cleary. She represents our district and many other districts, and she is going to come up as a follow-up to our board retreat. She's going to continue in my purpose to ensure that we have effective and efficient governance, and she is going to review our board self-evaluation and have a discussion and dialogue around best practices and how we can best use this data to ensure that we move forward in a way that best suits us as a board and in turn best suits the district as a whole. So, Jean, you have the floor. Jean, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with everyone. Just for the benefit of your public, I am the field service representative that works with Plainfield. I cover the public school districts in Essex, Union, and Hudson counties. And my focus is working with boards. I know I've been out and met some of you before, to work with boards on governance and things that will help you to fulfill your responsibilities as members of a governance team overseeing the school district to ensure that all students are served and have the best preparation needed. So I want to start off, as was mentioned, that I'm here to go over the results of the Plainfield School Board self-evaluation. Now, one of the things for the benefit of the public I'd like them to know is that the self-evaluation for the board is not required. It's not a mandatory thing to do, as is the evaluation of the superintendent, which is mandatory. So it is recognized as a best practice. And it's really wonderful to report that all members of the team, all 9 board members, commissioners, completed the self-evaluation and participated in this, because the information that we're going to go over is available to you to use as a tool to inform you on how you would like to go forward as a team to examine your strengths and also opportunity areas for your governance and what that looks like in terms of goal setting and setting action plans later, okay? So as you see across the top of what I've shared with you under all of the categories that make up the self-evaluation: vision, mission, and goals, policy, student achievement, governance, team, relationships and accountability, resource management and oversight, and community leadership. The total on a 4.0 scale came out to be a total average of 2.9, okay? So in the area of vision, mission, and goals, we break out on the left side the things that you have self-identified as strengths of your team, and on the right side are areas of opportunity or challenge that we can look at later towards goal setting. So it's happy to report that the board agrees that they remain focused on mission, vision, and goals, which prioritize student achievement. This is a very important focus of what board governance really is, to serve, to make sure the district is well run and serving all students. Everyone on the board has a strong investment in the strategic plan and participates in committee work with superintendent to support the administration's goals and objectives. So each year, the district, through the superintendent, will identify goals that are going to be the annual goals of focus, mainly towards student achievement. And those are the goals that he will be held accountable for through the superintendent evaluation process. The board does not administer the district, but has to govern well. And by doing that, you can identify ways that you, through your governance authority, can best support the success of the district goals as well. The board's planning goals as important qualities and characteristics for the students that move through the Plainfield School District. So on the other side of it, things that were identified. Now, I just want to take a moment to step back. The compilation of all of your results were provided to the president, who I believe shared it earlier today, each of you. That document does not identify each of you individually of your comments, but just puts it all together. So it's made available to you. What we're doing here now, what I've simply done is try to summarize it. It's, I believe, 17 or 18 pages. So you have the raw data. right? You don't have to take my word for it. These are just, this is just an opportunity to try to condense some things for focus that may be helpful to you going further on with goal setting. So looking at an area of opportunity is to improve how goals are communicated to all district stakeholders, specifically providing updates on progress to bring clarity and retain that focus on student achievement. So often, not surprisingly, in any group setting that we work with, communication comes up as a challenge area where we may be doing things well with communication, but then we may need to strengthen it, right? We have new people coming on, we may have new staff members. The important thing is we have everyone understand and can identify what the goals are for the year and who's responsible for doing what, and all moving together as a team for your students. So in the policy area that came in at 2.9, the strengths were that there are existing bylaws and policies that are commonly used as a basis for your board governance and decision making. A key strength was identified as the commitment to governing through policies that reflect the values and principles of the school district. Again, tying that into your mission and vision statements. And that there's a professional partnership which helps maintain alignment with state regulations while continuing to uphold the unique needs and expectations of the community. So if we just take a moment to step back, we know that a board is actually a policy-making body and communicates how the district should be run, right? Some policies are mandated by state and federal authorities, and some are your discretionary policies, which you are permitted to put in place for things that pertain to your values here in Plainfield. So it's important that when we're working and governing, that we understand that we're tying these things together so that we're staying really focused as a governing team along with administration in this clarity so that there's efficiency in the work that we do. So a grow area under policy is just to continue the ongoing review of your policies, which I do see is happening, to ensure that they are in compliance with all statutes and meet the ongoing needs to effectively and efficiently serve students, right? Policies are meant to bring clarity to what expectations are. An additional part to policies are that administration at times needs to set the regulations that will provide more guidance for being able to uphold and meet those aspirations covered in your policy. So when necessary, it's important to review that there are regulations consistently there, again, to bring clear communication to everyone so everyone knows what is expected. And to just continue to ensure transparency for any new policies or changes made to existing policies for all stakeholders. And this is actually an area that could be possibly a goal that you may want to consider for a board goal to look at what the process is that's in place, ensure that it's effective and efficient, and that also that it's being communicated to all stakeholders so everyone can have an understanding of what that process looks like, right? So that when we're doing the work of creating new policies or adapting policies, that we're not tripping over explaining why we're doing it, right? That we have how we do what we do clear to everyone, and then we can really focus on the discussion that has to happen about the issues that are at hand. So if we look now to accountability for student achievement, the rating came in at 2.9, that at every board at every board meeting, there's priority to communicate how decisions are directly linked to student achievement data that's presented by the superintendent or another administrator. The board approves curriculum material or programs that are aligned with New Jersey student learning standards, which makes sure that you're in compliance, and clearly outlines what students are expected to know and be able to do at each grade level. So from an oversight perspective, the board is not writing the curriculum, but should be aware of the goals of the curriculum, approving the curriculum, and getting updates on how well your students are doing under that curriculum so that you can best support through your governance and your oversight that you're continuously going in the right direction for students. It's a partnership. High levels of staff and student achievement are frequently acknowledged and awarded by the board and district. And just a little commentary, I thought that was wonderful to see the opening of schools and really making that connection with the community of why we're here, right? It's really always, regardless of what the topic is, and at times recognizing it can sometimes seem far removed from student achievement, but facilities have to be safe, as this beautiful area is, so that we could provide the best opportunities for students, right? So sometimes it may seem like we're talking about facilities, and how does that tie to student achievement? Well, it directly ties, right? And your policies, if you look at your policy manual, there are so many policies that directly affect student achievement through different areas. So it's really important that board members are really very comfortable with their policy manual. So continuing on under accountability for student achievement, a grow area might be to continue to prioritize policies and investments that push for those high expectations, deep learning, and continuous academic growth for every student, right? We want to look at disaggregated data so that we understand that all students are succeeding and moving forward and advancing. Setting goals to support the district in improving the communication of resources available to students and families. From what I understood, from what I was reading that you all submitted, that you do have a number of resources available, and sometimes it's difficult to, it's always a challenge, right? No matter how much communication we're doing. And when I say that, right, we recognize that communication comes through the district offices, right, not directly from the board, because the superintendent speaks for the district. But the role of the board is to make sure that you're supporting those efforts and identifying other efforts if you see that parts of the community are not aware, so that they're not being served appropriately. If we go on to look at the governance team relationship and accountability, that was 2.8, and there's a recognition of the importance of strong collaborative relationships, both among the board members and between the board and the superintendent, which helps you to stay focused on student achievement, right? You're going to have, through the course of the year, many discussions, and not everyone will always agree on everything. But to be able to do that in an environment where people are really committed to hearing, learning, understanding how someone who also is here to serve students may hold a different view, right? And trying to understand what that is so that we can really honor the value of diversity and serve all students, right? So if we look at areas of opportunity, improving the communication about the progress being made towards district goals through the year to support an effective superintendent evaluation process. So I mentioned earlier that the board should have approved those annual district goals, which are under the superintendent's authority, that directly go towards student achievement, but he's held responsible through the evaluation process. That's how you perform your oversight as a governing body. But it shouldn't be a surprise at the end, right? It shouldn't be a surprise in the spring. There should be regular, ongoing updates, and I'm not for a minute trying to suggest that's not already happening, but just that all board members need to be aware that it's happening, and what that should look like, and if you need to have dialogue with the superintendent about what's appropriate at what time of the year that you could expect, so that it probably isn't appropriate to speak about test scores in early October, but to understand when we should be hearing that information, right? Adhering to the Code of Ethics to meet the legislative intent of maintaining public confidence in public schools. So commissioners, board members, as well as lead administrators in the district are recognized under state law as school officials, public school officials. The intent of the Ethics Act is to provide you as board members with the Code of Ethics, which are guiding principles to guide your behavior, right? So you can be in compliance. But the actual legislative intent of the act is to help you maintain the public confidence and trust from your community, right? And when you have that, that will help you to communicate better, serve your students, make sure that we're serving all students' needs, because we won't be distracted by things that complicate the community's understanding of how well the district is functioning, right? So we want to be committed to really understanding that our behavior is in line with the code of ethics as it needs to be, but that the legislative intent is to maintain that public trust, to widen the circle and bring more people into understanding of the good work that's being done here in Plainfield for your students. It's recommended that you review the bylaws and board norms to ensure that there's effective communication and clarity for the public and for yourselves. One of the things this time of year we talk about with boards is, do you have an onboarding manual? It's around election time and maybe you'll have change on your board. That should be done annually, whether or not you are expecting new members on the board, and it should go along with looking at your bylaws. Your bylaws are the section of the policy manual that talk about the rules you follow to govern and act as a governing team, right? So it's an opportunity to kind of review what you would tell a new person coming onto the board. Well, is that what we're really practicing, right? Are we really staying true to what the bylaws are guiding us to, or do we need to have a discussion about improving something maybe for efficiency, right? And board training regarding effective board meetings, right? We want to have concise, effective, efficient board meetings that are business meetings held in public, so that the public can have a better understanding of how you are all serving the students of Plainfield, right? So we talk about understanding what that looks like, keeping people informed, but not having a public meeting with the public. It's a public meeting for their benefit, to learn, to understand, and to also be heard, right, through public comment. So that might be a board goal of just looking at your meetings, how they're running, how efficiently you feel they are running, and coming to, together to identify strategies that may help meetings run a bit more effectively for you, as well as provide better understanding for your community. Resource management and oversight came in at 3. There's a strong administrative leadership present. There's adherence to meeting the strategic planning goals. And strategic planning goals are reflective of the community's, input, and those are multi-year goals that have been set so that we know what aspirations we have for moving Plainfield students forward over the next, I'm imagining you have 5 years. And each year annually is a step on the rung of that ladder to meeting that, right? So that's great to hear that there's that understanding, because when we have those cascading goals, multi-year goals, directing annual goals, both for the district and the board team's governance, that means that we're working efficiently and staying focused on the things in the hierarchy that we have set, right? That there's strong fiscal oversight, and that the board is committed to ensuring health, safety, and security of students and staff. So grow areas are just to maintain a focus on clarity of the budget process for the community by reviewing your policies and how they speak to the budget process. So as commissioners, as board members, you're not actually crafting the policy, crafting the budget, but you need to understand the budget. You need to make sure that the budget is going to align and support the goals that have been set. And you need to, very importantly, make sure that your policies are guiding the district forward in what the process looks like, right? For clarity for the community. And that the expectations are being met, so people aren't saying, I didn't know, how did I know, I didn't see the information, right? So even when we're doing that really, really well, I will say that it's always worth revisiting, because it's not how we in this room may feel we are doing, it's how the community may feel they have access and understanding, right? So we're always trying to build that bridge to the community. So grow area, another grow area is, speaks to the hard issues really for districts throughout the state that I serve, just about the challenges fiscally, right? And what's happening on a state and federal level, and the impacts that it might have, and what plans, are in place. And sometimes the answer is we don't exactly know, but letting the community understand that we are aware of the challenges, and that we're setting some plans, and that we're trying to keep people informed to the best of our ability. That, again, maintains public confidence in the work that you're doing so that you could stay focused on students. So community leadership came in at 3.1. The board recognizes the vital impact of public education and the impact it has on the broader community. Strong schools make strong communities. An area of focus may be to ensure that the policies are aligned with statute, including, very importantly, Open Public Meetings Act and OPRA, and ensuring that your practice is in compliance with policies that need to be in compliance with state law, frankly. Acting as ambassadors to the community while remaining compliant with the chain of command. And this is a challenge at times, right? If you serve as a liaison to a community organization, you are there to bring information to, again, widen the circle with information that you have been asked to share through proper channels, but not necessarily to be there to speak for the board, which is actually an ethics violation, right? So if you're out as a liaison or out in a community setting and someone engages you, that's fine, but the answer really should be, I'll bring it back to the board, and the board will address it, right? And that also helps to instill that clarity for the community of what our role is and what it's not, so that we aren't stepping on administrative responsibilities, but we're really being excellent at our board responsibilities. So in the next section of this, I just simply cut and pasted this one section that you outlined your board goals for this past year. And you know, it's good to see that there was a lot of agreement about things that were achieved or satisfactory progress being made on. The one area I just would draw your attention to is one area that was little or no progress made, and sometimes this happens because other things pop up during the year that take our focus and attention, so it's not necessarily a negative, but it's a discussion point to have. Pardon me. Is that if the board still believes that this is an important goal, you are able to carry that goal over into your new goal setting for the year. And this one specifically addresses a comprehensive facility review. Now, just for clarity, that of course that's not something conducted by the board, that's something that would be conducted by administration. But if the board feels that it's important that it's updated and that you have that updated report so you know where you stand, right, which goes into questions about budgeting and long-term facility planning and all of those things, then you should consider carrying that over as a goal, okay? The next page, I, again, took this was you individually, this is the one section of the evaluation that you spoke about yourselves, right, not about the board team. And I just really wanted to put in front of you, these are the categories, A through K, that you were attesting to, that as a board member, as a member of the board, that you as an individual, and it goes down the list, you know, clearly articulate the vision, mission, and goals of the district, value learning and enhancing your effectiveness through your own study, training, and reflection, making efforts to attend and be prepared for all board meetings, understanding and complying with all state requirements, including your mandatory training requirements, disclosure statements, all of the things covered under ethics, review, understand, and evaluate the financial reports, including the annual audit, to ensure that educational dollars are used effectively and efficiently, which is your oversight and part of the role that you have, that you operate with a governance mindset and are a systems thinker with a strategic focus, respectful public manner, that you contribute towards a positive board culture, act ethically and professionally, are familiar with your board's bylaw direction, observe the chain of command, right? Recognizing that we as board members are not to solve individual members of the community's issues, but to be faithful to the chain of command to support the proper administrator to address whatever issue comes up. And that we're careful not to speak on behalf of the board in your official capacity, right? We know as individuals, we're not permitted to do that. So I just wanted you to have that in front of you just as a reminder to reflect on as you go forward. We all need to do little check-ins with ourselves from time to time, and that's why I included that there. Overall, and we're narrowing down to the end, the board identified greatest strengths that you can build from is the cooperative and collaborative attitudes of board members working together to achieve, to be focused on student achievement and serve your students towards that end, and the ability to communicate in an open and respectful manner, even when there are disagreements, which are a natural part of the work that we do. So areas that may need focus to further your work as an effective board team, and these may be topics for your consideration towards your board goals. Consensus building through improved communication protocols, strengthening your committees. You know, there's often challenges that pop up that you have good work happening at committees. Sometimes the challenge is keeping everybody engaged for those committees that they're not serving on, right? Further, the work as an effective board team, it mentions looking at communication, collaboration, and public trust, right? Just as an ongoing thing. And implementing policies that ensure equitable access to resources, opportunities, and support systems for all students, regardless of any defining characteristic. So again, I just want to really sum up and say that you really should be commended for all really taking this seriously. It wasn't just board members filling in on the grid, you know, a number, which is easy to do and do it in 5 minutes. People took the time to reflect and put a statement there. I could sense the thinking that went on behind it with the purpose of really.
And that really affects board members.
Yes,
and
of course.
also the public also.
So
if you could give some suggestions.
Thank you, yes, and I think that's a conversation that you as a board should be having with each other, right? Not to come up with your own solutions. I'm your resource, and that's what the work I do, and I really want to help bring ideas and things for your consideration. Ultimately, you decide what works best for you here in Plainfield. But it is important that you even have that conversation with each other about what that looks like, right? It's really hard to maintain focus for very extended periods of time. We want the best out of all of you because your students need the best out of all of you, right? So we have to always be open to continuously improving what we're doing and how we're doing it to be really effective and efficient. And this was the start tonight, right, of identifying, you know, how you feel your strengths and weaknesses and areas of opportunity are. I just was trying to sum it up, but this is your work. This is what you've said. So hearing that, I'm sure there are other members around the table that may feel that way, and perhaps when we get together for that training.
Well, we've talked through some of that,
have.
and I've shared with Jean some of our challenges and some concerns and complaints that we've gotten from the public. And so board leadership has sent the revised workflow to the board, and we're working through implementing some of those changes as early as starting this evening with regard to workflow, and then even with the most recent complaint with regard to not starting on time. Tonight, we didn't have a quorum at 6 o'clock to start, but as I talked with Jean about, these board meetings are our board meetings, and so we have to find ways to ensure that they're accommodating to the board, which means if we cannot start at 6 and 6:30 might be better for us because we're all coming from work at different areas and different towns and different locations, then that's why we've communicated to now at the next meeting, push the board meeting back to start at 6:30. It allows us time to get here, and me and Jean talked about it. She said it'll be better because you guys wouldn't have to rush, sit right down and get right into business. We can get here and give ourselves a few minutes to sit down, reset, and prepare to then start our meeting. So we've listened to commissioners, we've listened to the public. We're gonna do our best to ensure that it number first accommodates us as board members because we were elected to do the business of the board and the business of the district, but also keep in mind respecting not just our time, but the time of the administrators and the public. And so shortening our presentation times and putting our public comment in advance of executive session if we know we're gonna be in there too long and not having them wait, or vice versa if it comes a time where we have to say, well, this is when we want the public to arrive because this is when we're going to start the public portion of the meeting because we know we have a lengthy executive session agenda. So we are working towards that particular concern from the board members and from the public, and hopefully we'll move forward in the right direction.
The good news is this is a work in progress, and I see a commitment to doing that work. So anything I could do anywhere along the line, I'm always available to all board members. I say this as a parting comment, that my work is to be here as a resource and support each of you as individuals. If you contact me with a question or need some information I can provide to you, our conversations are confidential. Really, I'm here because I really want each of you to be at your best to best serve your students. So please feel free to reach out, and I'm available, and I look forward to again coming in and working with you as a board team.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jean.
Good night.
Do you have any more questions? Everybody's good? Okay. Thank you very much, Jean.
Thank you.
All right, so let me get back to my agenda. We don't have any commissioners online. All right, so next thing, before we get into, I know we have some walk-on items, but before we get into that, I actually want to read into the record a resolution that we have under our recognition and presentation. Sorry, hold on. Oh, it's falling apart. Rashawn. 1 second. I never took it out the bag, so.
Who is that to?
Okay. All right. So, we have a resolution honoring Mr. Harvey L. Juckins on the occasion of his 102nd birthday. Everybody give it up for Mr. Juckins. As a result of short notice, he is unable to be here with us this evening, but I still wanted to ensure that we read this into the record and recognize him, because this is really an extraordinary milestone. We don't see this often, and when we do, we need to highlight it and celebrate it. So, whereas born on October 7th, 1924, in Summit, New Jersey, and rooted in Plainfield since 1927, Mr. Harvey L. Juckins, Plainfield High School class of 1943 and Hall of Fame inductee, class of 2003, has spent more than a century embodying the spirit of Plainfield itself, resilient, compassionate, and devoted to lifting others. And whereas Mr. Juckins has devoted his life to service, leadership, and community uplift, continuing his family's legacy through Juckins Funeral Home, one of Plainfield's longest-standing family-owned businesses, now in its third generation of operation. And whereas during a pivotal era in Plainfield's history, Mr. Juckins served with courage and integrity as one of only 2 Black members on the Plainfield City Council in the 1960s, advocating for equity, understanding, and justice during times of great social change. And whereas his commitment to improving the lives of others extended beyond public office, including his instrumental role in establishing the Plainfield Avenue Pool, now the Hannah Atkins Pool, creating a lasting space for youth, families, and community connection. And whereas throughout his lifetime, Mr. Juckins has remained deeply committed to uplifting and empowering youth, understanding that the true measure of progress lies in the opportunities we create for the next generation, ensuring that young people not only have what they need to succeed, but what they truly deserve to thrive. And whereas at 102 years young, Mr. Juckins continues to inspire the Plainfield community through his joy, humility, and steadfast belief in helping others, living by the timeless message of his favorite hymn, "If I Can Help Somebody," by Mahalia Jackson, reminding us all of the true essence of purpose-driven service. And through his unwavering example, he continues to encourage our community to lay strong foundations for our youth, built on compassion, service, and selflessness, so they too may carry forward the legacy of civic pride and responsibility that he has so gracefully embodied. Now therefore be it resolved that the Plainfield Board of Education proudly honors and celebrates Mr. Harvey L. Juckins for his 102 years of life, leadership, and unwavering love for the Plainfield community, a trailblazer whose life continues to light the path for future generations of leaders and change makers. And be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Mr. Juckins as a token of the board's deepest respect, admiration, and gratitude for a life well lived in service to others and in recognition of his unwavering example of what it truly means to help somebody along the way. The board leadership will, yes, please stand. The board leadership will deliver this to him personally at his home and ensure that he has this. We do have 2 copies for him, so we appreciate your support. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right, so now we will read the walk-on items into the record.
Bear with me for 2 seconds, Madam President.
Okay. All right, I'll just share, there will be no superintendent's report as our superintendent is out representing the district in China at the moment, which is why he is not here. We have Deputy Superintendent Mark Williams here with us in his stead, sitting at the dais. However, he does have some reports that were not going to be read as a presentation, but for the board and public's review on the SSDS 3-year comparison. We have the incident report, and then the board has an HIV report that you all can review if you haven't already.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm ready when you are.
Okay, we are ready.
All right, so the first one will be a walk-on, be O31, added to business operations. This was something that the board had previously ratified. It's for the competitive contracting RFP we had for substitute staff servicing. There was a certain format that the Office of the Comptroller was looking for, and just to make sure we had the certified resolution reflecting that format, we're just bringing it on. The board has already approved and ratified the contract with the successful submitter for that competitive contracting RFP, so we'll just have an agenda to put that format on based upon the way the State Comptroller's Office would like to see it. So that, again, that will be O31.
Okay.
The next one will be O32. Madam President, this one will be a parent contract for student transportation. Under Administrative Code 6A:27-7.7, it permits a Board of Education to enter into a contract with a parent that we're already that we're already transporting for educational purposes. This is a part of our initiative where we're trying to reduce our costs relative to not only tuition, but related services for some of our students out of district. And we found a route where there's one individual student on a route, and we identified that student because oftentimes the hurdles that we have is relative to if there are 5, 6, or 7 students on a route. If only 1 or 2 parents take it, you still have to operate the route, so you can't really reduce your cost. So we'll make a direct payment to this parent. The parent will transport their own child, and it will give us some cost savings back. So that will be O33. And then lastly, we have some policies for first and final reading. We have revisions. We have revisions to 1330R, the regulation for 1330, as well as for policy 9322 for public and executive session. Those will be added on as Q2 for first and final read, and those applicable attachments should reflect on the board docs agenda by the time we come back from executive session.
Okay.
That's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cox. And now we will move on to our committee reports. I will actually start with the Governance Committee report because if you all recognize, the order of our meeting has slightly changed. And in that report, I will explain exactly why. We talked briefly about it with Jean Clary, who was here when Commissioner Hembry spoke about the meeting workflow and working to shorten our meetings and have them be more effective in respecting the time of board members. So I'll go ahead and start with that report, and then I'll ask each committee chair to report out. And for whichever committee chairs are not here, I will read their report into the record as well. But we met with the governance committee, which contains myself. We have Commissioner VP Webb, Commissioner Johnson, and Commissioner Malone. We talked through more effective and efficient governance practices. I did send them an email regarding what that workflow would look like and talk to them regarding what the changes would be to one of our policies and how we would do the flow of our meetings to ensure that they're more efficient. So the governance committee reviewed and discussed adjustments to the board meeting operations with the goal of supporting more effective and efficient governance practices. The focus was on improving our workflow, ensuring transparency, and respecting the time of board commissioners, administration, and the public. For future meetings, starting in November, our board meeting time will be adjusted from 6 p.m. to 6:30. So today, we kept it on schedule as it was to avoid making any swift adjustments. However, starting in November, the board meetings will start at 6:30. Immediately following this board meeting, we will have our board calendar adjusted to reflect that for the remainder of our meetings on the board calendar to start at 6:30. We will keep the meeting location here at the Charles and Anna Booker School. Key elements of the proposed workflow include streamlined presentations, focused board dialogue, committee reporting, public comment management, meeting timelines, and intentional pacing of our meetings. I am going to share the workflow in a minute. Once I finish this report, I'll review that briefly. The committee recommends workflow adjustments to be implemented to enhance governance efficiency, promote intentional decision-making, and maintain transparency. Our action items were to revise the board meeting calendar to reflect the updated start time, of which I just shared, and revise applicable board policies to incorporate the recommended workflow adjustments. And our recommendation is that we review and approve the proposed adjustments to our meeting start time and workflow as it pertains to policies to support effective and efficient governance practices. And if you bear with me for a second, I'm gonna pull up our workflow. But as with any other meeting, we will open up our meeting. One second. We will open up our meeting as we always do, call to order and with the Pledge of Allegiance. We will do the roll call. Mr. Cox will do the roll call. He will also do the welcome. I will then go to my board president's report. All of this stuff is standard as we have been doing it. But just as we just did, if there are any presentations as it pertains to board governance training, that will come immediately following my board president's report, as it will be a part of my board president's report for the purpose of board training. And then we will go directly into recognition and presentations. We will only allow a maximum of 30 minutes per presenter and a maximum of 2 presentations per meeting. This is inclusive of the superintendent, any administrators that may need to report out. And then following with what we received this evening and what we are all familiar with, our board responsibilities 12-month agenda planning will ensure that the presentations are aligned when they need to be reported, as they should be reported. And if for some reason the reports cannot remain within that 30-minute time frame, we will break them up into 2 meetings to ensure that we aren't carrying on for a time longer than what we need. The goal for that is to ensure that we keep the board and the public engaged. Sometimes it's a lot of information and we want to make sure that we're all retaining it. And so that will also keep our time down for our meetings. We will then go into the superintendent report. Normally, he includes these presentations within his report, but we will ensure that the presentations come before his report at this time so that he can solely focus on whatever additional information he needs to report out as a superintendent. And then we will move into our board committee reports. Moving forward, we will have committee reports submitted and on the agenda for board and public review, and each committee chair will report out on their committees. I know that they've been there in the past as just a document for review, but we will ensure that we actually articulate what's within that document, as I just did, and share for the public to hear aloud, so that that way they hear it if they haven't seen it. We have 2 ways for them to review it and take in that information. And so that way, when we open public comment, if there's something that they would like to address or share with us as it relates to our committee reports, then they can. There's a lot of information that we disseminate through our board agenda, and everybody can't keep up. We have some community members who come, and there are additional board members who follow the agenda as it is, but everybody doesn't do that, and everybody doesn't always understand. And it's within the committee reports that we share bite-sized pieces of the information so that they're easily digestible. So we will have instruction and programs, finance and operations, policy and legislative, and governance, with the addition to any special and ad hoc committees that need to present out. After we do the official board committees, we will have our student commissioners present. We only have Kaylin here tonight, but we do have 3 student commissioners who, if they have a report to report out, then they will, and we always encourage them to ensure that they're reporting out on something. We have them here to ensure that they are the voice for their peers and the students that we serve, and we like to hear from them. That is why they have a seat at the table, because we are here to serve them. After that, we will go into public comment. Public comment, as you all know, is 30 minutes total. It's 3 minutes per speaker, and we will no longer allow any extensions. We will no longer make a motion to do any extensions, so we are encouraging the public to ensure that they come prepared to utilize the 3 minutes that are allotted to each of them, and ensure that they have their talking points ready, and any additional information they can absolutely send to the board and the board leadership, the board members, or the superintendent and his administration, following the chain of command in our communications channels, to share their comments, questions, and concerns, and we will respectfully get back to them within 48 to 72 hours. We will have we will convene into executive session following that, but that allows us to have public comment. They can ask questions, share concerns regarding any agenda items, any committee reporting, and any presentations that they were able to sit through for the evening. And they do not have to remain here to sit for the vote after executive session, but we will have to convene into executive session so that we can make sure that we make informed decisions and vote on our full agenda, because we have all the information that we need. We go through critical information in executive session, and it's necessary for us to do that ahead of agenda approval. When we come out, we will move forward with our board discussion. And again, if community members are, if they have to get home, because oftentimes they complain about us being here too late, which is normally a result to executive session, then they can stay if they deem it important, and if not, then they can, go home or wherever they need to be, but they can still follow it virtually, and they can send in additional questions and concerns. But we will have our board discussion after executive session, and then we will follow it up with agenda approval and adjourn. That is pretty much how the flow is going to go. We're going to move through it with that flow today and for future board meetings, and if we need to make adjustments, then we will. But we do have some adjustments to the policies that have been walked on this evening that we are set to discuss and review for board approval, and that is my report for governance. And now, it was a lot, but everybody will get used to it. So now, we can go to instruction and program. Commissioner Smith is the chair of that committee. She is not here this evening to report out, so I will report out on her behalf. The Instruction and Program Committee met to receive updates and review agenda items related to instructional programs and student support initiatives. The goal was to ensure alignment with district priorities, review program implementation plans, and prepare recommendations for board consideration. We discussed topics. There were a few topics that were pulled from the agenda that the administration wanted to share with us. The board members as a part of that committee are Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Dr. Harris, and myself. Commissioner Harris and myself were present, and then we had the superintendent, Dr. Filipatos and Dr. Mastro Giovanni, present to share with us the wonderful programs that we have for our students. We have the after-school program launch effective tomorrow. The program is being intentionally designed using district testing data to identify areas of greatest need with the focus on math and ELA. The curriculum will be consistent across all schools and grade levels to provide targeted interventions for our students. Success and effectiveness will be monitored through the Genesis system, tracking attendance and program outcomes to assess the return on our investment. We talk a lot about that, so we want to ensure that we're collecting that data that disaggregated data that we talked about as well, to ensure that while we're implementing these programs, we actually see that they're actually benefiting our students to the best that we can. Programming also includes multilingual support that is currently in open enrollment. And then we do have our ongoing grant programs inclusive of 21st Century, which are in 4 buildings and family-friendly in 2 buildings. Yes. All right. Thank you for that confirmation. The committee emphasizes the importance of connecting programs to real student outcomes, using program data, which should produce positive outcomes as it relates to the testing data, to measure effectiveness and ensure that the resources invested directly translate into improved academic performance. Our action items were to receive the enrollment report, the SSDA report, both of which are documents available for the board review. They were in the superintendent's remarks, and then no reporting was in the form of presentations from the superintendent, and the committee recommends moving these items forward for board approval, along with the other items listed under instruction and program in the curriculum part of the agenda. Now we can have the Finance and Operation Committee report by Commissioner Johnson.
At the Finance and Operations meeting, we discussed new and old business. Some of the topics we discussed was the CTE build-out, partnerships with, partnering with charter schools for shared services, district construction projects, the recent governor's debate, and bonding referendum and bonding authority pros and cons. The district is moving forward with many great and exciting projects for our students. Some of those projects include the pool renovation, CTE wing, which you saw on the slide, and the Buff project. Additional details are forthcoming. Also, both candidates for governor spoke of revamping the funding formula, something that we should keep an eye out for. It could possibly be problematic for the Plainfield Public Schools, but we don't know until after the election. And Mr. Hassan will continue to advocate for charter schools to join Plainfield Public Schools with shared services to cut district costs. Some of the action items were possibly explore bond referendum, different grant opportunities, and MOUs with community partners. That's it. Thank you.
All right, and we can now do policy. Commissioner Vice President Webb.
Thank you very much. So our policy committee met. It was Mr. Hassan, Dr. Beth Phillips-Patos, Commissioner Smith, Dr. Harris, myself. We reviewed policy updates regarding equity. There was an equity policy review. For September, we're going to keep that on first read to allow the equity fellows, which is a cross-section of district staff, to review and ensure the alignment with the comprehensive equity plan before moving to second read. There's a proposal for allergy policy revision. This was prompted by potential effects of latex in the district on how that could create severe allergies in certain individuals. So we're going to get input from the nursing supervisors and legal counsel to ensure best practices on compliance while we continue to review that policy. And then we also had some brief discussion on a brief talk about a future discussion on the grading policy. So we're going to take a look at that, as well as the new policies that we suggested regarding facility use, which included the fee waivers and community partnerships. There was some extensive discussion around really the community impact and how we can align our policies to create better partnerships. Dr. Harris brought up a great point regarding utilizing the data that the community brings to the table for potentially future grant partnerships. I think it would be a great way to help lift some of those organizations up, so we took that into great consideration. Of course, we talked about the proposed changes to the board meeting workflow. I was very impressed with the level of detail that you brought in your suggestions, Madam President, so we're really looking forward to hopefully bring some great changes with how the meetings run, and as well as giving the public the opportunity to hear and manage the time much better. And then also the one that a lot of people have been waiting for is the public access and community support for renaming of schools. We're very close to rolling out a proposal format that's going to be online, that's going to allow for suggestions to come from the community, and really the core of that is with the policy, the board policy that's already in effect, but we want to ensure that the broader community demonstrates their support and really has an opportunity to share their ideas when it comes to the potential renaming the schools and spaces that we have in this district. But that completes my report for now.
Thank you very much. And now, we are ready for public comment, Mr. Cox.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes, Kaylin. I'm sorry, sweetie. You know what, because we need to list you here, and I'm literally like following the agenda on here instead of my document.
So just for this October, still school is getting set up, but we have still accomplished a lot with our anti-bullying assembly. Students were able to actively communicate and participate in the assembly, talking about anti-bullying and learning new ways how to approach conflict within the school with each other. And I'm actually happy that it was such a fun and exciting assembly, and everyone acted out different skits and everyone was able to put their input. We also had our week of respect where we were able to wear jerseys, mismatched socks and mismatched clothes. And it was just an exciting week. Wear blue to combat bullying, and also clubs like Dance National Honor Society and the regular National Honor Society Club are starting up and sending out invites to new potential participants. So that's for all. We also have our college fair tomorrow, so that's super exciting for all the seniors to kind of dip their feet into that. We also, I know this year's senior are definitely getting a head start on Zello, plugging in all our volunteer hours, making our resumes, connecting it to Common App and everything. So that has been a huge progress. So yeah.
Thank you, Kaylin. And I want to make sure that you as a student commissioner understand the process for ensuring that you guys have coverage for what you are doing and your buildings in your respective high schools. So make sure that you talk with Mr. Hill so that he can explain that process. I know your building leadership does, but oftentimes they're too busy and consumed with reaching out to his department to ensure that they send a representative to come cover some of these things, because we don't see enough of it in our highlights, and we should. Okay?
Okay.
That's it. All right, so now we can go to public comment.
At business meetings, privilege of the floor will be provided for 30 minutes for the public comment prior to committee reports. Sounds like we got to probably change that verbiage a little bit. Members of the public in attendance will have the opportunity to raise concerns during this period of the meeting. Members of the public may speak once for a maximum period of 3 minutes by the clock. This time is not transferable from one individual to another. Privilege of the floor is now open.
All right, do we have anybody here in person who would like to speak for public comment? I mean, I don't see many people here, but we have one. You're okay, sir? All right, Nick, do we have anybody online? One person. Okay.
Yes, my name is Rita Davis. I'm speaking on behalf of the League of Women Voters. I just want to invite everyone and the public to our forum, our Board of Education Candidates Forum on Thursday, October 23rd at Hubbard Middle School at 7 p.m. We hope everyone can come, and we invite the public to submit questions to our email address or on our Facebook page. Our email address is lwvnjplainfield@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Davis. All right. Ms. Miranda Brown?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for this meeting. It was very interesting. Despite the technology hiccups we had at the beginning, the public is now back in the meeting. I wanted to highlight for everyone that item number O29 in your agenda is for $179,955 as a line item in our budget. Unfortunately, the public cannot see what the bid was. I believe, given what's in here, that it is about the VR goggles that Apple presented to us, I believe at the end of last school year. And I remember asking the public, several people in the public asked, what would these goggles really be used for? How many would be provided to the school? What would happen when they invariably get damaged by the students because accidents happen? What is the repair program? What is the cost of replacing them? This is a very big chunk of a budget. And as we're heading into, as we've all discussed previously, an uncertain future with federal funding, how we use each and every dollar is incredibly important. And so to see $180,000 line item for some VR goggles that it's unclear if every student will have access to or need to have access to, it's just a lot of money without a lot of public disclosure of how that will be used. So I'm really asking you all to maybe table this and have more public conversation on how these funds are planning to be used. Because given the most recent presentations on the achievements our students are reaching, while we are showing some improvement, there are certainly hundreds of students in our district who could probably use more hands-on coaching, more reading coaches, more direct intervention services, especially for that 9th grade cohort that seems to be falling behind everybody else. So just as a parent in the community, I would really love to have more public discussion around how this particular technology is going to be used in the classroom, how many students it will benefit, and what we're really getting for $180,000. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Do we have anybody else, Nick?
Catherine, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. Catherine Balch, 1314 Highland Avenue. Nice to see you, even from afar. I wanted to say how encouraging it sounds, the report from the facilitator about the way that the board is conducting business. And I see that from the board president that you're making some inroads into how to improve time efficiency and things like that. So I look forward to attending those kind of meetings, and I appreciate your efforts in taking those things into consideration, the public's time as well as your fellow board members' time. I wanted to let you know about 2 events that are coming up that are recognizing the lunch books program that I organize and that the district sponsors. So the Rotary of Union has asked me to speak and tell them the story about how lunch books began and how we operate and what our future looks like. And the Second Street Youth Center has recognized the program in terms of Volunteer of the Year. And their event is on October 22nd. So the only reason that we have been successful in reading to children and giving away books is because the district sponsors it and makes it so easy for us to make dates and communicate with principals and teachers and literacy coaches. Thank you so much, and I wish you all a good evening.
Thank you very much. Nick, who's the next person? Ms. Joanne, you have the floor.
Hi, Johanna Sata, 1612 Maple Street. I did want to say thank you, and I do appreciate the proposed changes to the Board of Education meetings coming forward. Same as Ms. Balch, I am excited to see what that's going to look like. One thing I did want to mention is October is Dyslexia Awareness Month. I did not see anything from the district or my son's school regarding that. So I was just proposing that maybe next year that could be something the district could come up with, or the individual schools. Dyslexia is said to affect up to 20% of the population. So that would mean that 20% of the population of kids that we have in our schools may also be affected. Just from experience, I feel like there's still a lot of misunderstanding of what dyslexia is and how that can be identified. I do know that New Jersey requires schools to screen children from kindergarten through second grade. My son did get screened, and he did pass the screener. He was not flagged. However, he did get a separate diagnosis of dyslexia. So I do hope that next year that is something that the district might be look into so that more people are aware of it. Thank you.
Before you go, ma'am,
Yes.
I'm just trying to get your name, because Mr. Gore said it from the back, but then you went right in. Normally, we have our participants announce their full name. I caught Maple Avenue, but I did not catch your full name, ma'am, and I want to make sure the record accurately reflects that.
Johanna Alzate, and it's 1612 Maple.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, seeing no more and hearing no more.
I'd like to make a motion to close public comment.
Do we have a second?
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Hembry that the board now close public comment at this time. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor? All opposed have the same right? Motion carried. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
1 second. We have to open back up public comment. I need to,
I'd like to make a motion to reopen public comment.
thank you. Do we have a second? This will be for the purpose of allowing the students to speak. Something happened where it got dropped. And how many students? We have 3 students that would like to speak. We will absolutely allow them to speak. Do I have a second? Second. All right.
Been properly moved by
Nick, are they there?
Commissioner Vice.
Tell them to raise their hand.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Hembry and Dr. Harris that we reopen public comment for the purposes of allowing the students to speak about something that transpired today. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried.
All right, Nick, did they raise their hand? Okay, patch them in.
Can you try to go to Daniel Garcia?
Excited to hear from the students.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay. My name is Daniel Garcia, and I'm a student at Paz, and I'm here to speak on the physical education in the school. You see, every week we have to run either the mile or do the pacer test. Essentially, we are doing 3 laps around the entire school grounds. However, this is not happening at nearly the same frequency or at all for any other schools. Schools in the district have physical assessments like the mile or pacer much more sparsely. I'm not sure to the exact extent, but to my knowledge, around every 2 months, if that. This is not only drastically more pressure on us, but has affected not only my health, but many of my classmates too. Every week I come home exhausted, passing out, and not able to do homework, chores, and even eat. Keep in mind, I and many other students have asthma. Me and other peers have complained of vomiting, tasting blood, and feelings of fainting to neglect and no cares. Many of the girls have also complained of being catcalled and honked at, because this, of course, is around the road too. I've been threatened and even actively pushed into the road by another student. Even students with injuries are not safe. A good friend of mine had a visible knee brace around January. Her knee had slipped out of its socket several times, and she was in visible pain with the doctor's note. The response was to still make her run and ruin her grade. Even through all this, the mile actively hurts our grades. Most students failing to reach above an 80 because of the chokingly strict rubric that us students are now being blamed for. We have attempted to tackle the mile once before, and it only led to a hard rubric change, but we aren't asking for that. We're asking for leeway and far less tough frequency. As a senior now, I can't stand by torturing myself weekly just to leave the next generation of new younger students and middle schoolers now come in and repeat the cycle too. All all of the students at PAWS have been begging, pleading, and beckoning for this to stop, and I think it's finally time we're heard properly. That is all.
Thank you, Danny. The deputy superintendent will make sure that he takes care of that with your building leadership. Next. Sarai, you have the floor, sweetie.
Hello. My name is Sarai, and I'm a student of PAWS. And I also
Sarai,
have a
what's your last
concern,
name, sweetie?
Arias.
Spell that for us.
Arias.
Thank you. Continue.
I'm gonna keep this short because at the moment I am at work, but it has come to my concern that many students have complained as well about the mile. I made an essay about the mile last year. I brought to the attention of the student president, many students at PAWS have complained about, I've seen many students complain about their times, about how the teacher could be unfair, and their times, many people are ashamed of their time, and like how others get higher times or others get lower times. It makes people very uncomfortable to say, most people get very uncomfortable to say their times of what they get during the mile or the PACE. Now, many students, as myself, are very exhausted after school, after the mile. Per se, I have work, and it's already a lot of movement. So after the mile, I'm exhausted, and I don't even feel like going to work after. But due to my need to go to work, I have to go. Now, like me, I have to go to the doctor constantly. And if I miss a mile, the teacher is always asking to do it. But there's moments where one is unable to do it due to having to catch up with work or assignments. And it's really hard to find the time to keep up with the mile and all that. Not only that, I've seen many students get anxious or panic attacks from the thought of doing the mile. I'm sorry, I think I did. If you would like me to send my essay, I would be able to do that. It explains further detail about my thoughts about it. And yeah.
Thank you, Sarai. You're always welcome to share with your student commissioner or send your email to the superintendent and board leadership when you would like to. So we encourage you to use your voice. We appreciate you sharing with us this evening.
I'm not sure if Jasmine Pearson is still on. Okay.
All right, Jasmine, you have the floor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jasmine Person. I'm a senior at PAWS, and I've also heard a lot. I'm backing up the last people that came up. Okay, hold up. I'm sorry. The pace, the mile, it has been complained about multiple times since I've been a freshman at the school. So there was one particular incident that happened in which that it was like below 50 degrees outside in around like November, December, and they tried to make us run the mile during that weather and that type of condition. And most people were like, "No, we're not running it below 50. We could get sick. Like it's not good for anybody to run in that cold to begin with, because not only that, it messes up with your running to begin with, because you have to keep trying to catch your breath. And despite all of that, they still made us run the mile because the peak below 50 degrees. So a lot of people had to resort to getting coats, which doesn't really help at all because how cold it is. Because once it's below 50, coats does not really help at that point. And multiple people, including myself, have gotten sick because of that. And I also do think the mile frequency should be lowered down because I've asked my friends that go to the high school, Plainfield High School, and they say they don't even do the mile at all. They don't even do it. Like, that's unheard of. Like, that's crazy to them. And they just learn about sports and do like different gym activities. I'm advocating for us to have a different, to like have able to do different gym activities instead of doing a mile every single week constantly, because it gets to a point when you're doing it constantly. It's a way, because it seems like it's the only way that's supposed to be graded. So I just think it should be lowered down to at least like every 2 weeks. At most, I know it's a state requirement to do the mile or run around like 3 laps around the school. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jasmine. Again, I'm going to state that we hear you, we appreciate your feedback and sharing your concerns. We actually encourage it, and we're glad that you did. And we will see to it that we handle this matter. We're getting right on it. Thank you. That's it, right? All right, I'll now entertain a motion to close public comment.
Motion to close public comment.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb, seconded by Commissioner Embry, that the board now close public comment at this time. You heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried.
I'll now entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Before we do, could I?
Yeah, sure.
Mrs.
Last
Embry, can you
month-
speak? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Last month, we had a discussion on test scores. The superintendent presented a discussion on test scores. And we talked about, some members talked about the variable being economically disadvantaged. So I decided to go, I wanted to know what the researchers were saying about test scores for African Americans and Latino students. So I went into ProQuest, and there were 2 other variables that appeared more than economically disadvantaged, because that is the status that no one can change. Chronic absenteeism and chronic tardiness. Those were the 2 variables that appeared in many of the studies that I had read. So those are 2 that we need to look at, because if a student is absent, a student is tardy for that particular day, that lesson is missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll definitely have that conversation around that. All right, I'll now entertain a motion for us to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Malone that the board now retire into executive session. You heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried. The board anticipates.
I want to say 45 minutes.
The board anticipates being in executive session for approximately 45 minutes. The time is now 7:48 p.m.
Right?
I looked at the.
Recording stopped.
public session.
Make a motion to reopen public session.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb, seconded by Commissioner Hembry, that the board now resume this meeting in the public. You heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried. The time is 8:21.
All right. I will now entertain any comments or questions from board members concerning any agenda items. Do we have any discussion regarding any particular agenda items that you would like clarity on or would like to share comments on? Okay. Well, Deputy Superintendent, I believe that you have something to share.
Thank you, Madam President. We are going to administratively pull 029.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cox, you got that?
Yes, ma'am. For the record, it will reflect on the agenda, but it will be denoted next to it as administratively pulled for the record.
Thank you very much. And
I'd like to make a comment.
yes,
Just a suggestion to the Finance Operations Committee. There was in the news today that there were some cuts in the Department of Education that resulted in employee layoffs that would potentially affect special education. And I'd like to see if there can be a discussion in the next committee meeting regarding our advocacy efforts in Washington, D.C. Around how we can combat and prepare our district to continue to support our students in lieu of those changes.
thank you. Actually, when we go to equity and advocacy, we are going to have a chance to have those discussions through NSBA. They have a rep that's gonna actually facilitate those conversations when we go on Capitol Hill. So we'll have a chance to articulate.
Unlike, was that last year?
Yes, unlike last
Okay,
year.
perfect.
Yes, where we didn't. And largely in part to the fact that usually the congressmen and women are not there. So we try, but we usually meet with staffers, and we found in years prior that when we meet with staffers, we go out there with a full plan, we sit, we meet, we have all the questions, and they write everything down. And our marketing communications team, they reach out, they do extensive follow-up, and we don't get any responses back. So we do our part as a district, but they haven't been as responsive as they should be. Even if it's just staffers, the information should then be shared, and it hasn't been. But this year, in SBA, we'll have a rep that facilitates that, and we will in fact have those meetings, and we will be able to share that information.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so before we go into a motion to call the vote, or a motion for consent agenda, I want to make sure, Mr. Cox, that as per usual, you recuse everybody from anything.
Madam President, I will ensure that all board members are recused from their personal reimbursements as well as their personal travel.
All right, thank you very much, and I'll now entertain a motion for consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to introduce the agenda as a consent agenda.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Hembry that the board moves the agenda as a consent agenda. You heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Motion carried.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Malone that the board now approve the consent agenda at this time. You heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Vice President Webb.
Yes.
Commissioner Malone.
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Harris.
Yes.
Commissioner Hembry.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, however, I have to abstain from item K10, number 2, number 19, and I also have to abstain from 07 for the basketball program.
All right, let me just repeat that back, sir. You are going to abstain from K10, specifically the sub-item number 2 and sub-item number 19 under that resolution.
Yes.
Additionally, you will be abstaining for the community MOAs as it relates to the basketball program.
Yes.
That is noted for the record in your abstention, sir. Commissioner President Wyatt.
Yes, with the exception of the fact that I have to recuse myself from the bills list. I did not share that with you as one of the things to blanketly recuse board members. I also need to,
You did, Madam President.
oh, I added bills list to
Yeah,
the,
personal, so individual personal reimbursement as well as personal travel.
oh, okay, sorry, because I get frustrated when board members do that, so I apologize, commissioners, for doing that this time. But I would also like to abstain from O7, and I'm not sure how, number 2, I guess?
So there's no, we did not itemize it, but we can note that you are abstaining,
It's the second one,
the second one.
GMC.
Got you. Yep.
Yes,
So item O7, GMC.
that is it, yes to everything else.
All right, just want to run that back for you, Madam President. Just we clarified the recusal necessity on the bills list. All board members will be abstaining from their personal reimbursement and travel. Additionally, you are abstaining from the vote as it relates to GMC only on O7. All other ones is a yes for you, as well
That
as
is
all other
correct.
agenda items.
That is correct.
With those abstentions, Madam President, all resolutions pass on this evening's agenda.
Thank you very much. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn
Motion
our
to adjourn.
business meeting for October.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Vice President Webb and seconded by Commissioner Hembry that the board now adjourn this meeting in the public. You heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? There being none, all in favor?
Question.
Oh,
You had a question.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to go on record to let everyone know that tomorrow is the ladies volleyball senior day. It's at 5 o'clock, if everybody can make it out to their senior day.
All right, yes, we encourage participation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. With that said, there being no other questions on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed have the same right? Motion carried. The meeting is adjourned at 8:29 p.m.
Woo! Mission accomplished.
Recording stopped.